Nelson's Navy, Fact and Fiction, Part 4, from 1806 onwards. The French fleet based at Brest had not been involved at Trafalgar. It made various powerful excursions to raid British commerce in the Atlantic. The Royal Navy dispatched several squadrons to counter this. One of them fought the last fleet action of the wars off Santo Domingo in the Caribbean on the 6th of February 1806. They took 3 French ships of the line and destroyed 2 more. Another squadron was the one that intercepted Linois. The very first Hornblower novel, The Happy Return, takes place about 1808. We know this because, to Hornblower's dismay, Spain has become Great Britain's ally. That year also takes Richard Bolitho to the South Atlantic in Beyond the Reef. Thomas Cochrane and Sir James Alexander Gordon have both been suggested as models for Hornblower. Gordon's first ship was a 74 of the Channel Fleet, Mr. Midshipman Hornblower, the Even Chance. He also served in the Caribbean, Lieutenant Hornblower, and was active in the Mediterranean from 1808, a ship of the line. His obituary called him the last of Nelson's captains. Like Gordon, Hornblower becomes Admiral of the Fleet. In A Ship of the Line, Hornblower cruises off the Spanish coast about 1809-10. Like Cochrane, he is involved in action at Rosas, where he finally strikes his colours. He escapes and recaptures a British cutter in flying colours, circa 1811. The 1810 campaign in the Mauritius Command really belonged to Captain Josiah Rowley. As a junior commodore, he was captain of HMS Boadicea. The disaster at Grand Port, which happened during that campaign, is the only naval victory commemorated on the Arc de Triomphe in Paris. In 1811, frigates formed a line of battle at Lissa. It appears as backstory in The 100 Days. Lieutenant Harding tells Jack Aubrey about it over breakfast aboard His Majesty's hired vessel Surprise. C.S. Forester wanted Hornblower to avoid the War of 1812 between Great Britain and the United States of America, lest he should be responsible for the rocket's red glare. So, in the Commodore, he sent him to the Baltic, where he was active against Napoleon's invasion of Russia. In fact, a Royal Naval squadron under Sir Thomas Byam Martin was sent to the Baltic, where it assisted in the siege of Riga against the northern flank of Napoleon's invasion forces. His squadron included HMS Apakir 74 and 7 gunboats, but no bomb vessels. Forester had already written a standalone novel with an American protagonist, the Captain from Connecticut, in 1941. Fortunately, news of the peace arrives in time to prevent yet another duel between the British and American captains, this time between their respective frigates. Admiral Sir Richard Bolitho is involved in the War of 1812 in 2 of his final novels, For My Country's Freedom and Cross of St. George. Patrick O'Brien did not share C.S. Forester's qualms about getting involved in war with the United States. In The Fortune of War, 2 frigate actions appear as backstory in the wardroom of HMS Java. HMS Guerriere vs. USS Constitution and HMS Macedonian vs. USS United States. Jack and Stephen are still aboard Java when she is taken by Constitution. Later they are aboard HMS Shannon during her battle with Chesapeake. Both actions took place much as they are described. On the same day Shannon took Chesapeake, USS United States and USS Macedonian, the captured HMS Macedonian, were hulked to keep them from being cut out. More on the differences between Royal Navy and US Navy frigates in the next part. The third of the American super frigates, USS President, struck her colours to a British blockading squadron off New York on the 14th of January 1815. The remaining US frigates, including Constitution, were blockaded in Boston. Like the Battle of New Orleans, this happened after peace had been concluded at the Treaty of Ghent on the 24th of December 1814. In The Far Side of the World, Patrick O'Brian acknowledged that the Surprise's pursuit of the Norfolk was an echo of HMS Phoebe's pursuit of USN Essex. The Essex was a small frigate armed with carronades which was attacking British whaling ships in the southeast Pacific. HMS Phoebe, a better armed frigate, and HM sloop Cherub found her in harbour at Valparaiso. Essex lost its main topmast trying to slip out to sea in bad weather. Due to Chilean neutrality, the final action took place in an undefended bay along the coast. Here Phoebe and Cherub overpowered her, and she struck her colours after a brave defence, in which her losses made further resistance unavailing, in the words of Captain Hillier of the Phoebe. Later, in the reverse of the medal, Aubrey, like Cochrane, is convicted of rigging the stock exchange. Unlike Aubrey, Cochrane escaped the pillory because it might have caused a riot due to his popularity. But he lost his knighthood and was dismissed from both Parliament and the Royal Navy. In The Letter of Marque, the French frigate Diane is cut out from St. Martin's. This is on the Ile de Ré off La Rochelle, now known as Saint-Martin-de-Ré. In Patrick O'Brian's extension of the period 1812 to 14, there is time for a virtual circumnavigation spread over no less than 4 books. These include The Wine Dark Sea, in which Stephen is involved in an attempt to bring about Peruvian independence. Aubrey takes command of an anti-slavery squadron in the Commodore. Anti-slavery patrols began shortly after the abolition of the slave trade in 1807. The anti-slavery force, later known as the West Africa Squadron, was commanded by Commodore E. H. Columbine from 1808 until 1811. In Sword of Honour and The 100 Days, Richard Bolitho and Jack Aubrey are both involved in the final episode of the Napoleonic Wars. Napoleon actually surrendered himself to the Royal Navy after his defeat at Waterloo. The Bolitho adventures continue through Adam in 4 further novels. In Blue at the Mizzen, Jack Aubrey has his final full adventure. This is once again based on Cochrane's exploits, this time in South America. Here Cochrane took command of the Chilean Navy, which captured Valdivia and the Spanish frigate Esmeralda. He continued in service to Peru and even Brazil before he became involved in the struggle for Greek independence. He finally returned to Great Britain after he inherited the family title as Earl of Dundonald in 1831. He was restored to the Navy and hoisted his flag in 1832. In 1896, the prolific writer G. A. Henty wrote With Cochrane the Dauntless, a tale based on Cochrane's achievements in Chile and Peru. The main character is the son of one of Cochrane's former officers. Part 5 of Nelson's Navy Fact and Fiction will include descriptions and details of the ships involved, both warships and merchantmen. Thank you for watching.